Right, welcome everybody to another episode of Chris and Dave's Reality TV Cast. I'm one of your hosts, Chris, and my co-host, a very good friend, is Dave. I'm pointing both ways because for some reason last week it was the wrong way.
Hey there, Chris, and hello to our listeners out there. Welcome to Chris and Dave's Reality TV Cast. We are covering Married at First Sight Australia, Season 12, Episodes 17 through to 20. Now, Chris, where would you like to start today?
Well, Dave, I want to thank everybody. This is our second live episode, as in YouTube episode. Couple of teething problems last week that I was not happy with, but thanks for the support, guys, and some of the feedback as well. We do appreciate it. This is here to stay for the time being, Dave. It's still our experiment, but I am enjoying it. I'm enjoying the fact that people can see us, and we got. I think we've hit over 60 subscribers, but we've hit over 300 views on YouTube. So thank you so much, guys. So if you are listening to this on Spotify or any of your podcast catching apps, please get over to YouTube, give us a subscribe, like, all that sort of jazz. If you do want to see our beautiful faces, Dave, our photogenic faces. So
AI generated, hopefully.
we are AI generated.
Production.
Well, actually, Dave, I have mentioned this to you earlier, but off the podcast, but I was recognised as Gordon Ramsay this week, Dave. So that's the second time someone said that. And someone said in the comments, I look like Patrick Swayze. Dave, I'm very photogenic. I'm very happy. The Gordon Ramsay thing is this, I think. But
I just don't understand because those people look nothing like each other, but, you know... it's good that you do that work for the Alzheimer's Society, by the
way. I'm a patron, if you don't mind, Dave. But anyway, moving on.
Yeah.
Dave. So we got the commitment ceremony, and we did see the back end of Billy and Sierah, which I was very surprised with. Adrian looked more gutted than Billy, I think, let's be honest. I think that was the right decision. I was expecting Sierra to say she was staying to carry on this weird friendship, which there isn't, there's nothing wrong with friendship between a guy and a girl, but there was more than a friendship going there, Dave. And I have heard in the grapevine that one of the storylines wasn't actually shown, and it may have involved a video. That's all I know, Dave. That's all I can say.
Oh, I think I might have seen this
Yes.
as well. And yeah, definitely. I expected Sierra to stay as well. I think Sierra gambled and lost there. I think she expected Billy to say he was going to stay because there was some rapid backpedaling when they both agreed they were going to leave. And she was like, oh, yeah, it was me. I was closed off. I think she was hoping for some kind of olive branch from the experts that said, oh, no, maybe you could give it another go. Well, absolutely the right decision. She did not give a toss about Billy at all. And so I was glad to see them go, to be honest. I thought she might string it out for longer. She thought Billy was going to string it out for longer, but was it meant to be?
No, and it was the right thing. And he even given his fish, Dave. Why the fish didn't go with Billy, nobody knows. But it was all part of the, part of the thing with Dave and Jamie, who seemed a bit off about the fish, Dave. Oh my God, it's responsibility. You feed it a little bit of food every day.
It's a few fish in it. I mean, it's not really. I can see something bigger like a dog or a cat or something, but Jamie was taking it like it was this big responsibility, and I can't hear Billy and fish without thinking of the old Viz character, Billy the Fish.
It was a goalie, Dave. He was going to save him.
Every time it just plants that image in my head. So I a bit of an overreaction for having to look after someone's fish. I mean, where did he bring those with him? I don't understand, where did the fish come from in the first place?
I don't know.
If he was giving them up, he could. Probably thinking about this way too much, but if he bought them when he was there, then he's not really got that much of an emotional attachment to them. So I don't know. Weird little subplot there.
It is, to be honest. And also, maybe he's been to a fairground, Dave. Maybe the old, he's won them at a fairground. We didn't see it in one of the other things.
My sister, they still do that? I didn't know they still did that.
Well, they do in Manchester, Dave. Now, obviously, it is dodgy at the best of times. So it has been known. My sister, I was going to say, she's actually got a fish, and she calls it Chuck Norris, Dave, and that is a goldfish, and he's got his own Instagram page as well as Chuck. A few hundred people. So, Chuck Norris, the fish.
Is it one of those samurai fighting fish that you can't put other fish in there? in the tank with.
It could be taking people out. I don't know, but yeah, she's got the
Yeah,
Instagram page on him on Chucky there. But anyway,
nice.
Dave, complete segue. It's taken us way out of where we should be. Uh, Now we got Elliot with an apology, didn't we? He got sort of called out by the Dave, and we can do it again, as you said last week. They're fucking experts because they're not experts. Um, yeah, that's it. Yeah, and I think that was the right thing to do at that point because obviously the whole situation with Lauren, he was terrible to her at the dinner party. The way he spoke to Veronica was right to sort of stick up for her and say, like, this is not a good look. But he still didn't sort of get it. And I have seen that one of his good friends is Adrian Dave. So says it all really. But yeah, I think that was the right thing to do, to be honest.
Yeah, and I was, there's always an action and a reaction, isn't there? And I was trying to think, where has Elliot got this self awareness from? Because we've seen zero evidence of it. And I can only think he's been prompted by someone else, or maybe a producer. But actually, he gave almost an unreserved apology, didn't he, to Lauren? And he started off the week quite well. It's been a weird, I'm not quite going to say redemption, but I can't think of a better word. I don't think it's a full redemption week for Elliot, but he definitely came off better this week than any of the previous ones. And that was a low, low bar. But yeah, it started off well. He gave an unreserved apology. We're going to talk about unreserved apologies later as well, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I couldn't argue with how Elliot approached that one.
No, I think he was right. And obviously, yeah, you're right, Dave. The story arc for Elliot was interesting this week, but we'll get into that. You're right. But what about Dave? If you are with your partner, the person that you love, or the person you get to know, and you're thinking, let's do a little bit of touchy feely, a little bit of interaction together. The first thing I do with Sam, Dave, is just get her in a fucking headlock and start doing all this. And then, there's all sorts of moves you can pull out. And Tony doesn't see a problem with getting Merena in a fucking headlock, Dave. Now, what do you say
Yeah.
about this?
So first of all, absolutely brilliant. I personally, I feel like there's no higher form of affection that you can show someone than giving them a good headlock or a suplex off the top rope. These are the sort of things you did at school, maybe. Maybe friends of mine, not me, Chris, but
No, you don't.
you'd
No.
give a girl you really fancy a good solid dead arm, and that's a way of showing affection. It's like, fucking hell, it's ridiculous, isn't it? No, he just didn't seem to get it. Now, what I would say is as ridiculous, and throughout the week, it's made me laugh. I'm not going to lie, but it seems there's a way that Morena says things that are very performative. I think she'd make a great stand-up comedian. She kind of goes up at the end of every sentence. And so it makes it sound a little bit odd when she's telling a story, as if she's going up at the end of the sentence, as if everything is a question. And so the way the rest of the group reacted to her, I feel like if she didn't describe it in that same way, that they might be a little bit more sympathetic to her. Now, the other thing that could be going on is it's as simple as they quite like Tony. They don't really like Morena, I don't think she's given them much of a reason to. She generally lambasts everyone. But yeah, the way the group reacted was to laugh at the whole headlock thing. And again, like I say, I'm not going to lie, I was laughing at it myself. So I'm not going to be a hypocrite. But I feel like if it was a different person and a different way that that message was delivered, I think the group might reacted a different way as well.
Yeah, because I'm the same as you. I can't get out of my head the the vision of him just getting her in a headlock and walking around the room like you used to do with your mates if you're having a
Yeah.
fight. Someone got you in a headlock, and you're like,
Yeah.
it's like it's like a pantomime horse or something. In it, you've got the four legs. I just keep this vision of him walking around the room or walking into the bedroom and be like, oh, come on, then, how are you feeling? I,
Yeah.
I, I don't know in
Come
what
in
world.
here. Let me introduce you to this concept of a Dutch oven. It's great. You'll love it. Uh,
Figure four leg lock, Dave. They got it all there. I just don't
yeah.
understand how he thinks, and I do think that. even though like last week with Merena, and I'm not a massive fan, I do feel that I still don't believe that for 29 years she didn't have a voice. That is unbelievable. That I'll be very surprised that she didn't speak her mind. And it may be that she is like this. She does say by the end of the week, seven. You know, I said this last week, but 7 years she's had to sort of, you know, create her persona, create who she is since the divorce and that. And she said that with her friends. But there's no, I just can't believe that what we're seeing. But however, Tony is like, yeah, well, you know, I like going away at weekend. And I think what it is with Morena, because she's
Yeah.
been in relationships, she doesn't understand. It's like someone's put her in the show. She's applied for it, not realized that it's a show. And after 4 or 5 days filming, you can
Yeah,
go home. And Tony's like, I'm gone. And he also admits that obviously there's nothing there really between them by the end of the week. But she's like, we're in a relationship, it's 7 days a week or nothing. And I think that's where
yeah.
either someone's not had a word with her or she doesn't understand that you are still performing in the show. It's what happens after the show if you stay together. So I don't know. I think he's wrong and I think he's too laid back. And I do think that some of the points you brought up this week are quite valid because he has been a bit of a bell end as well. I think he's so laid back. He's like, I want to have a voice. But it's like, but she wants something. She wants to feel wanted, and you getting her in all these fucking wrestling moves is not the way, mate. That's hilarious.
So drop her down, give the old Hulk Hogan or the Ultimate Warrior, start shaking the
Uh,
top rope.
yeah. I don't get it. I
So
don't get it.
I do feel we're not seeing a lot from Tony that's going on off camera. I think that's a big black hole in kind of what we're seeing in the edit. And how long is it we've been doing this now for, Chris? Was it 2019 we started this? So we've
Six
been
years.
covering these shit shows for 6 years now. And so it's hard for us to imagine how anyone would find their way on this show and not know what the game is. But I think there are still some people who don't really pay that much attention. Maybe their friends have watched the show or something, and then they drink all the Kool-Aid about, oh yeah, they put together people with science and stuff. And you haven't had much luck choosing your own person, so maybe give this a go and see how it goes. Whereas, and the producers are rubbing their hands. It's like, oh, we've got another live one here. And so I do feel like you're right. Morena, as she says, probably just thinks, oh yeah, if this is a full on relationship, we are married, then this is 7 days a week. There's no, clock off at 5 o'clock on a Friday and then head back home and actually start your weekend. So yeah, there's definitely nothing ever going to happen between those two. And I don't know if we want to talk about it now, but of course, my God, Tony had an unbelievable revelation this week, didn't he?
Oh God, let's
He
talk
had the
about that.
unbelievable revelation that he's, deep into middle age. He's, what is he, 53, 54 or 53? I think it's 53, isn't he? And he's just decided he wants a baby. And I just think, I don't know if it's just, is that a way to save face, to say, oh, that's why I'm being a bit standoffish. I realize that, I really, really wanted this thing. I've not uttered this verbally to anyone, but right now I'm really, really passionate about it. What do you think about that, Chris?
Yeah, and is that just a shithouse way of getting out of the relationship? She's 57. You know, it's probably medically impossible for Merena to get pregnant now at 57. You know, unfortunately.
Definitely. Not
Yeah.
probably.
No, but I mean, why would he say that? What? And also, is he one of these people? We've cut him a bit of slack the last few weeks because of like how I suppose at times how like on the back foot Morena is with everybody, isn't she? Like she doesn't really listen to what people are saying.
Front foot, I think.
Well, yeah, yeah. I mean, she's very defensive, isn't she? Sorry, I mean, she's very defensive with everybody.
Oh,
And
right. Okay. Yeah.
yeah, sorry, yeah, not back foot. Tony's more on the back foot, but I think is Tony one of these? He's 53 and he loves, does he think he should be going out with like a 25-year-old, a 30-year-old girl? Because if he's asking for kids, then come on. he's looking around that age group, innit? So he obviously thinks he's a bit of a player.
Mm.
So maybe that is the play at this point. Where we've sort of been Team Tony in certain moments there, and I certainly have. And as this went on this week, I'm like, yeah, I'm not feeling this. Why would you just say, I want to have a baby now? It's like, so you sort
Yeah,
of,
yeah.
you're narrowing it. And also, why didn't you say that to the fucking experts at the start? Why now? Just because and I do think her age thing is a problem. He won't admit it, but I do think that I do agree with what they're
Yeah.
saying, and her friends are saying. She's 57. He's 53. I think he thought he was going to maybe get with some young, maybe some 40-year-old or something. Even then, age with having children and that. So if he's saying that, he's looking at the latest between 35 and 40 for a partner. And so I'm not saying people over 40 can't
Mm.
have children because
Yeah,
they
yeah.
can, but I'm just saying that
It just
we're
comes with higher risk, though, doesn't it?
yeah, exactly. There's a higher risk and everything. And it's just like, what a bizarre comment. And I felt in the end, it was just being a shit house. He was just trying to get out of it, knowing that Merena and her friends went, she will be absolutely fine with that. I mean, Sam, I watched it going, you sure about that? She's really going to be fine because she
Yeah.
was right. I think from that point on, Tony lost a lot of his argument with me for this week alone. I don't know how it
Yeah.
plays out, but that's where I sit at the moment with Tony. He's been a bit, I think he's been a bit of a bell end, really.
Yeah, I think so. I think I didn't fully understand the signing that Morena was doing. She was saying, "Yep, Tony wants a baby," and then she's doing all this and like
Yeah.
knocking on. There's some sort of sign language that I wasn't really understanding there, but yeah, it is ridiculous. And I think really, I have to come to the same conclusion. He's just tried. The age thing's been a problem since day one, but he's played the nice guy. That oh no, because when his mate was saying, you deserve, was his words, wasn't it? Something like a 30-year-old, did he say?
Yeah.
Um, and Tony was the one who actually defended and said, no, it's a beautiful woman and whatever. And he wasn't bothered at all. Or to the camera, he wasn't bothered. But I think he probably was, and just didn't care to admit it. And he thinks this is a way that he can kind of make the age a factor without calling out that the age is a factor.
Yeah, and you know what I'm thinking now, Dave? This is a completely crazy assumption, and you're gonna love this, Dave. Or you might not. But you know the situation with Adrian and Sierra, and obviously Tony was the third wheel, but was Adrian the third wheel, Dave?
Uh,
Just throwing it out there. I don't know anything. I genuinely don't. But I'm just thinking, was he? Was there something there? Yeah.
maybe,
In his
maybe
eyes, anyway.
Adrian was like, you know what image I'm thinking of is Gareth in the sidecar.
On
Maybe
the back.
Adrian was actually the one in the sidecar,
Yeah, like this as he
and
goes
it was a
past.
ruse.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think so. I think so. So yeah, so I think with them two, there's more to come on that. And him saying he doesn't want to be with her. Well, you've got to say leave then, aren't you? At the next commitment ceremony. That's the only fair thing.
100%. I mean, and it would feel more comfortable if they both did. I think in
Yeah.
this next commitment ceremony.
No, I'm with you. So Dave, one of the couples, and again, I'm sorry, I haven't got an actual bell end. I did bring Darth Vader out last week. I've just got the end of my mic, which is a bit of foam, but there's the bell end of the week. That is
I
Adrian's
have. I've
award.
got C3PO's bell end
Yeah,
right
you have that. I mean, I'm not saying it what mine is, but anyway, um, moving on. But I
Darth
think,
Vader
yeah, I think
is
so.
burnt off in Mustafar. But anyway.
I have the higher ground. That's a terrible impression. But again, Adrian and Athena, like he is fucking horrible. And for some stupid reason, that bell end is coming up on my TikTok feed. And he's still doubling down on all this shit. He's doubling down on all
Really?
sorts at the moment. So we're only, we're about halfway through, really, Dave. Not to upset you, but we're probably halfway through the show. And this week again, he's fucking despicable. And you can clearly see the gaslighting, the bullshit. As they say, when two people have a disagreement, you've got your side and their side, and it's usually in the middle. That's where the truth usually
Yeah.
lies. That's just a common thing because I've had that with family members. They
Yeah.
tell you one story and you go, "Oh my god, the bastards!" And then you hear it from the others, and you're like, "Well, hang on a minute, you've admitted." So we know that watching these shows, we say all the time. But this
Yeah.
guy
Yeah.
is a fucking narcissist. He's a lunatic. Obviously, you can't really understand what he's saying half the time anyway. But his family,
No.
his fucking family, and that girl, the ginger girl just, gingerhead girl just completely doubling back on it, which I believe she's now distanced herself, Dave, because she's an influencer with a massive following, so she's lost a lot and got some abuse. She's
Yeah.
issued a
Oh,
statement,
shocker.
but that whole thing, even in the commitment ceremony, obviously I've jumped a little bit with the family. He didn't want to know. He's not interested. Even when John and that were saying to it, he's like, "No, hang on, you don't know my side." And it's like, mate, take it. You are a dickhead. But because no one's told this guy anything that he's in the
Mm.
wrong or all the story. He's obviously a compulsive liar all his life. I'm sorry, but I'm throwing it out
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
He's a dick. He's my bellend of the week by a mile on this show, and I just think he's a nasty piece of work. And poor Athena, at
Mm.
this point in the show, is just emotionally broken. And I think like she said leave and he said stay, and they should have stepped in. They've done it
Yeah.
before. They should have got rid of this clown because he's an absolute bellend.
Yeah, he's quite a bad example, really, isn't he, of a bloke who's
Yeah.
like clearly gaslighting, but also I'm going to cut his friend a little bit of slack because i- if you've been fed a narrative for
Yeah.
so long, and I think what this is exposing is that's probably the way Adrian navigates life is he'll just, represent a version of the truth. So he's the victim in everything and, he's justified in whatever he does. But he is a nasty piece of work. It's a very small part, but one of the things that jumped out at me is I thought Athena. So I think we've been saying it wrong, isn't it? Athena, like as in
Athena.
with an F. Someone
Yeah.
mailed in. So not Athena as in the Greek goddess, but Athena as in an F, apparently. So let us know down there if we pronounce it wrong. What was her sister's name? Cleo,
Cleo,
was
yeah.
it? Clea? Thought she was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. She saw what was happening and then she was all like, basically, off you fuck. And the sisters though, in that conversation outside the pub, which from the outside, I loved it. It looked like a great pub. It seemed to do a horrible modernization job inside, but looked like a great pub from the outside. But what were they saying? Something about not dressing up in wolf's clothing or whatever, but it was something about it was quite derogatory what they were saying about Athena. But the friend, like you say, damage limitations, she's come out, yeah, surprise, surprise, she's an influencer. I mean, we haven't really talked about old fucking drama queen, like buggering off. We talked last week about him buggering off for the photo shoot and being omitted there, even though apparently there's a few of them who weren't in there. According to him, it was only him, and he was disrespected so much that he had his own little protest. Fortunately, it wasn't a dirty protest. But he's the only one who wants to stay. So he is so thirsty for it. He's so desperate for that attention. But yeah, I think he just got exposed. And the bit that I was going to say when the sisters were walking off, and one of them, I think it was Cleo, who said, pack your bags. And he said happily, said the word happily, but he kind of launched forward with his head, like in quite an aggressive way. And again, I just thought this is not an editing job. This is just you're a nasty prick, and you've been called out for it.
Yeah, I agree. I think the whole situation with his sisters, and I'd hope that you exactly what we both said is he's fed them this narrative that it's all Athena, all about her.
Yeah,
It's all her, no matter what it is. Even when she brought up her son, and he'd never mentioned, and that weird friend decides to back him up again, and I'm like, but you've probably
yeah.
not got any
What does
children
showing up
yourself.
mean?
Yeah, it's just ridiculous, and I don't like that when he comes into like the apartment. He's really dominating over, isn't he? Like he really sort of like makes her. She just literally shrinks, doesn't she? She'll stand up for herself,
Yeah.
but maybe because she can't fucking understand the bell end as well. But I don't like it. He like forces her into a corner where she's either got to
Yeah.
apologize, she's got to back down. Everything he said to the, and then he's saying stuff to the camera, but then he's just got one of them
Mm,
faces where he's like laughing about it. Then at the same time, and he like, "Whoa, what's going to be about it?"
yeah.
It's like You're a horrible person. I'm sorry. I don't care what the fucking redemption arc is, whether he becomes fucking national treasure at the end of this. He isn't at this point. He's a horrible person, and it's going to take a hell of a lot to turn this round. And just seeing his TikTok stuff, people are having a go at him, and I have, Dave, I'm down. I type something. I'm like, no, I'm not typing something. But genuinely, people are saying like gaslighting. People have been through this sort of trauma in the past, saying like you need to sort of look at yourself because you're going to ruin any relationship he has with people. At this point, it's about the fame. He don't give a fuck. It's like it's a platform. Any sort of exposure is good exposure for him. But all the way through, it was horrible. And his sisters, like they've had this story, and maybe all their life they've had this where he's never at fault. He's always like the bad, he's
Yeah, yeah.
always woe is me. I've got people like my family, Dave, no matter what happens, they've got no level of perspective. They've got no way of looking at it from someone else's perspective. It's always so clear it's the other person's fault, no matter what situation they've got themselves in. And a long time, I would take that on board as the truth, and I'd be like, "Oh, that's terrible! Can you believe this?" And then again, I'm made to look like a fool on numerous occasions. And I think with Adrian, through his life, his sisters, probably his twin brother, his family, they have all had this same thing where he is so hard done to. But then when the truth comes out,
Yeah.
he either doubles down on it and goes with the lie and goes with like this. Because if not, he's got something wrong, seriously wrong, where he needs to fucking grow up and just I mean, it was a great scene with the pub thing, and Cleo was great. I just felt for Athena again. She's just so within herself completely. And like, he's just a horrible person. I just hope that they go this week. I really, really do. But I think this
Yeah.
guy is just going to be like Bronte and Harrison. I don't think she's Bronte. He's Harrison. He's going to stay there and just keep putting stay, stay, stay. It's just, oh, what a wicked person. I hope John and that step in and give it him.
Yeah, I hope you're wrong about the stay. However, even after the pub thing, back at the apartment, it's not just about, standing in quite a dominant, intimidating way, but it almost kind of it's like, oh, what's going on? How you going? It's almost as if nothing happened.
Yeah.
And that's where the gaslighting comes in. It's like, oh, yeah, we had a bit of an argument, but it's fine. We're all good now, aren't we? And it's really uncomfortable to watch. And so, yeah, now that you say it, I think there's a good chance he'll write stay, but I really do hope someone steps in. My faith in the morals of this show, though, are pretty low, so I don't
Yeah.
know if that'll happen. But yeah, let's see where it goes. The thing I'm heartened by, I think I've said for a few weeks now that Athena seems to give him a pass quite easily. Like he's got all the red flags right from the almost the first day, the wedding day, definitely on the honeymoon and every week since. But she's always sort of made the excuse for him. I hope this is enough. And I do think she's sort of switching round to no, this guy is a bell end and needs to be fucked off.
Yeah, I agree. The thing for me that she should stick by is her son. His reaction to her son, whether he's
Yeah.
met him or not, he should be. I want to see him.
What about though? I mean, we're ripping into Adrian, but he's given as much as she has. Because he's left his dog at home,
Oh me. He
his
said about
job
his
and
job.
his dog.
Oh, what a dick! I fucking forgot about that.
It's exactly the same as leaving your son for like 12 weeks or however long it goes on for.
Yeah, and
Talk about a lack of self-awareness there. I mean, just utterly ridiculous.
yeah, and also, Dave, look, you can flip it and say, well, why would you, Athena herself, like, why would you go on this show and leave your son for 10 weeks? The fame's there. I'm not backing that cock up at all. But yeah, as soon as he said job, I was like, oh my god,
Yeah.
you are gonna die on that hill that it's not your fault.
Yeah.
What's the point? What a horrible person. But anyway, Dave,
Yeah.
what about Jackie and Ryan? So not as bad as last week, let's be honest. However, she did want to confront Reed from nowhere, from absolutely nowhere. Apparently, Dave, and it's a crime against humanity. What Reed? Now,
I love it.
she has no. They are the strangest couple ever. Everyone by the start of the week was like, they're going to go, they're going to go. They stayed together. They then double, I mean, he did this
Yeah.
week before. When people are having a go at him, they stick together. But then Jack
Yeah.
gets up and has a go at Ryan from nowhere, just randomly. And then she's got this maniacal, she would play a very good female Joker, Dave, in the Batman, won't she? Because she has got that maniacal face where
Harley Quinn?
well, maybe, yeah, maybe Harley Quinn, but just like, yeah, just that really like strange sort of like she just looks, doesn't she? And the smile comes, and it's as if to say, "I don't care." And I think Reed sort of backed down in the end, didn't she? She was having a pop at her, and she's like, "You've made it into a big thing." You, in the context of the show or anybody, if your friend is
Yeah.
messaging your husband or you're messaging your mate's girlfriend without them, not unless it's some surprise party or it's something
Yeah.
about him, that's fucking odd, Dave. It is odd. You can have that relationship. You can message him, message him if it's something, how are you doing, or it's some family thing, you've got our support, whatever, that's fine. But not that wasn't that. That wasn't like house things and all this. That was just her trying to fucking create drama on the show. And she did, didn't she, at the end of the day?
I don't know. Was it about creating the drama, or she got called out for a bullshit? I think we found out. I don't remember from last week hearing that she'd explicitly said, "Don't bring Ree," whereas we heard that this week. And she'd obviously processed it and then again made herself the victim out of it. Now, I don't know about playing Harley Quinn. I think, she looks like she should be guarding the Dark Crystal or something. But what I love is the way she kind of flipped it all around and not one to be shy of layering on the drama. It wasn't just not girl code, it was a crime against humanity. Now, I just I heard that and honestly nearly spat my tea out. I'm like, do you actually listen to yourself at all? I wonder what she's actually thinking watching it back now. I mean, what I can't even compute what goes through your head to come to that conclusion about a crime to humanity. But yeah, I think she was out of order. She got called out for it, but she made it this whole thing. And if anything, it kind of seems to bond her and Ryan together more. Like when they're getting pelters from the outside, that seems to be the only thing that brings them together. Otherwise, she's trying to reel off a list of things that she can teach Ryan. And don't forget, she was talking about teaching Ree things.
Yeah.
She's a very giving person, Chris, apparently. But in terms of lessons, I was talking about the lessons, but
Yeah,
just
yeah, I knew you would.
but, my mind instantly sabotaged me and realized how that sounded about something else. I'm going to change it now because
Yeah, moving
the more I
on.
talk, the more I keep digging away there. But yeah, so giving lessons, Chris, is the thing that she's very
Lessons.
good at.
Mm.
So yeah, and I kind of there's something weird about it, when she's talking about giving lessons to Ryan and teaching him things. That's one thing. I think it sounds derogatory and disrespectful, but when you're using the same language to teach your friends things, it's just a weird, snooty way of talking about people. And so I think they were a little bit more in the backseat just because of some of the other batshit stuff going on this week. But
Yeah.
yeah, they always come through with a little bit of drama, don't they?
Yeah, they do. And yeah, I mean, it's amazing how you knew about them lessons, Dave. But anyway, so all right there. So now you can see us on camera when we do
Honestly.
this.
Hey,
So you know what?
hey, I've
There's
got
one.
I could do my Bane impression, should
I've
I
not
want
got it.
to.
Go on then, Dave. Go on, do it. I've not
No,
got
I've
it. I've
caught
got,
you out. Caught you out.
yeah, I've got me. No, that doesn't really go. But
No,
anyway,
no.
that just looks really strange. But
It's just
anyway,
giving Darth Vader some happy time.
he's here, Darth. He's still here.
Yep.
He's getting in. He's getting in
There
on
we
the act,
go.
Darth.
Got a smile on his face now.
He is. He was actually quite happy. But no, what I was going to say is Veronica and Elliot. So last week and even the start of this week, I was like, Elliot, complete cock, spoke to Lauren appallingly. Even when they weren't together, you knew you were going to get something, and he was not aware. Almost like Adrian levels of like just like I'm not
Mm.
backing down. I'm not backing down. We saw a little bit of vulnerability this week,
Yeah.
and he decides to write a letter for her about a situation, and he's talking to the camera about how he's never spoke to anyone about this. He's never told anyone. I was a little bit skeptical, Dave. The old, as they say, that I can do it now. The skeptical hippo eyes, sort of like, but you're doing it on a TV show with a camera in there, Elliot. But you're
Yeah.
going to reveal this on the show. Fair enough.
Yeah.
It's somewhat
Seems
private, but
like a good idea to me.
exactly. Let's just reveal it to millions of people around the world. No problem at all. So we'll go with that. But he tells a story, and I was sort of team Veronica all the way because of the way she reacted. He's treating her Lauren, she was not having it, and then they even did just before that. They even did like grading all the different bride and grooms. He went purely off looks and if they'd fancy him. She went off
Yep.
like emotionally available. She put him third. She said, "You're a good-looking guy," but Dave and TJ were in front of him, saying like, and he sort of accepted it, but I think he was sort of gritting like, yeah, oh yeah, it's fine, that really fine. But
Yeah,
I
yeah.
understand his
Totally
ego
fine.
was, yeah,
I'm
no,
fine.
no
I'm
problem at all,
fine.
no problem at all. TJ and Dave, no problem at all. Blocked him straight away, probably. But I'm trying to phrase this right, but when he did his story about what had affected him, about his sister, which was awful, she was in a coma, she's diabetic. I've got family members who are diabetic. I totally understand that how so you can be pre-diabetic to diabetic. It just transforms your life.
Yeah, yeah.
It can be. It's serious as well. So I get that, but I felt that his story. I did sort of feel a little bit like Veronica by the end of it. I was sort of like waiting for the big right? Like it was a bad thing, but and he just sort of went about his dad, like how his dad dealt with it, and that's his story, and that's you can't take that away. And I'm not I'm not taking the piss out of his sister at all with that. 'Cause it's life changing. She was in a coma, that obviously affected the family. But I did sort of come away waiting for this is this has sort of channeled my whole life. But that's his thing. That's fine. That's it. From there, though,
Mm.
she has obviously read about all these things about how you need the buzzwords validated, be heard,
Yeah, yeah.
restore, all these stuff. But she's fucking talking bullshit because when she stormed off, I was like, this is acting 101 and this is reality TV
Yeah.
and this is everything wrong with what we're watching now is you're just acting this out because she said to him, don't raise your voice as he's going. I'm not raising my voice. And he didn't, his cadence of voice
No,
didn't
no.
go up. She raised
Yeah,
the
yeah.
nose, she raised the voice at him and was the aggressor and stormed off. But it says, don't you dare. And I'm like, am I watching a different fucking
Yeah.
show? So I know I've spoke a lot there, Dave, but I mean, do you think I was right with the Veronica? Because I did feel like sort of the story fell on its ass a little bit, but I'm not discrediting. That's what has changed him as all what's affected him all his life because anything can do that.
Yeah, I feel like this is a complex one. Definitely the sentiment that I've seen on like the message group and stuff is that Veronica's just either play acting or just utterly overreacting or just missing the point or something. And yeah, I agree. I don't think Eliot did anything wrong, really, especially when they were trying to communicate with each other, but they weren't getting each other either intentionally for the cameras or they. I do have a theory, and I did post a little bit about this. So I think, and it's good that you said that, for you, it was all, you didn't say the words "so what," but from what you said, I'm kind of hearing like, okay, you told this story and you were waiting for something more. I think this week, the most you could accuse Eliot of is being a bit of a shit storyteller because the way I read it was he told the story in terms of something happened, then this other thing happened, then my dad acted this way. Um, and from that point, I said, I'm never going to allow myself to be beholden to my emotions. the end. Any questions? And the
Yeah.
trouble is, he didn't use any kind of emotional words to get across like how he was feeling. So his sister was in a coma. How did that make you feel? So I didn't. I think the people who that story resonates with have strong empathy and are filling in the blanks themselves.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't think Veronica is filling in the blank herself, and so she's just listening to this factual story, and nothing's really landing with her. And so that's why she thinks it was that it. Whereas it would have been a pretty traumatic event. I just think Eliot described it in a very factual, a matter of fact way, and that was the main problem.
Yeah,
And
and
she's a
go
massive
ahead.
actress as well.
Well, yeah, she's a big actor. No,
She was
sorry.
making the most of it.
Yeah, she was. Sorry to cut across you. You're right. It's weird because, like I say, it fell on its arse, the story. But that's his thing. But then I also felt that at the dinner party, Jamie was right. She's like, whatever you think of this story, like, because we've all, no matter who you are, we all have things in our lives that affect us.
Yes.
When we were kids,
Yeah.
it shapes you as a person, good or bad. And for most of us, it's usually something bad that you remember. You either try and learn from it. Sometimes you don't learn from it initially, but as you get older in your 40s, like I've learned a lot of the reactionary stuff I did when I was younger and things, you just learn to cope better, or you just become a bit more, oh, I can't be fucking arsed with it, right? Fine. You know what I mean? And you can do that. You can,
Mostly that one.
yeah, mostly that. You can cut people out of your life. You can just go, nah, using to people is just not good for me. And I've done that, and we all have
Mm,
better things going on in life. That's just the way it is. These people can just be absolute drains on you, and that's not saying that I can't be a pain in the ass to people, because I certainly can. I'm sure you can attest to that, Dave. I mean, as my tag team partner, but that's what we do, don't we? We're friends, But it is true. Like you can decide as you get older who you have in your life, and Elliot's his
yeah.
sister, and I'm with you. I felt as if we needed a little bit more. How long was his sister in the coma for? Was she okay? What happened off the back of this?
Yeah.
Like, how did it affect the family? You're right. There was so much context missing out of it that I was just sort of like,
Yeah.
right, okay, that's fine. But then I also felt like she was terrible, and she was rolling her fucking eyes, and she was just not having it. Even when she was confronted over it, it was like, you're saying all the words you think need to be said, and all the things leading up to this was you wanted Elliot to be real. You wanted him to show a bit of emotion. He'd been poor to Lauren. You'd got that. The way he graded all the girls was off the looks, and how they had a
Yeah.
chance with him and all. It was ridiculous. I did notice that Lauren was 2 or 3, so that was quite interesting. But then
Mm,
he's done what he thinks. That's his life. He's obviously had he seems to have had like an easy upbringing, if that is the only thing in his life that has got him to whatever he is, 30 odd or the mid 30s, then he's been quite lucky. But there's no reason to judge that. And
mm.
she's just come across as a complete dick. I think this has gone on. Like that, we're getting narcissistical stuff in my eyes. I think like I'm not a massive Elliot fan, and I think he's probably going to do himself no favors as this goes on, I'm sure. But at this juncture, she's just she went from 0 to 100, and I felt it was totally for the cameras. Exactly what you'd said, to be honest.
Yeah. So I, I do feel like karma is at play as well here because we've spoken off air about Elliot is a very good looking bloke. You could easily see him on a black and white aftershave advert or something like that.
Yeah,
But when Veronica was sort of saying, "Don't raise your voice to me. No, remain calm," when he wasn't actually raising his voice and he was being calm, I thought, "Oh, I bet from what we saw with his interactions with Lauren, I thought this is how Elliot has been. I imagine. Now we haven't seen it, so it's only a theory, but." It just felt like I imagine Elliot being in that conversation on the other side of the fence a lot of the time, and this time it's Veronica who's playing that particular role. So yeah, again, I've seen a bit of sympathy for Elliot. I think we saw enough before to know, there are issues there. Again, is it maybe a subconscious thing from Veronica where because of the conversation she had with Lauren, and even though Lauren seemed to accept Elliot's apology, yeah, she definitely didn't accept Elliot's apology. So maybe that she's looking for excuses to end this thing with Elliot, but she just really, really likes being on TV, so has to keep the drama going for a bit longer.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. We'll see how we go with the commitment ceremony. And then, Dave, the final bit of drama this week. So, one of the couple, and we always get this, we always get a couple who are absolutely, completely like one of the sort of solid, you've got Jamie and Dave there, and you've got Karina and Paul, and they've been the solid, consistent ones, haven't they? All loved up and everything. And then from nowhere, Paul's gets a headshot VT and he's chatting away and he's crying. And he's like, I've got to fight. And he decides, Dave, in one of the arguments that they had or disagreements, to go and punch a wall. So he's put a hand through a wall. He sleeps in the other apartment. He's not there. He's very remorseful the next day. He's sort of buying into it. And, but then when he speaks to Karina, you're like, there's no excuse for what you've done, mate. He's a big guy as well.
Mm,
It's probably very intimidating. You put a fist through one of the walls, and you can see his knuckles as he was talking. His knuckles were all busted as well. You could actually see where he'd actually hit. So I could see that on the when he was talking
mm,
about it. And it's like, you just got to apologize. No matter what happened, whether
yeah.
you felt that Karina was the one putting you in that state or whatever she was doing, I don't think she was. I think they were just having a disagreement. And he said he got overwhelmed. And every juncture at that point, even when he apologized at the dinner party, I'm like, mate, just keep your mouth shut. Apologize. You're wrong. You just got to take the L sometimes and know that you're a dick. And we all do it. No, I'm not sitting here judging him. We all can lose our temper. We can all do or say things and afterwards go, you try and be better, as I just said a minute ago. But
Mm.
nobody gets it right, no matter how old you are. You just become a little bit more aware of your actions as you get older. But I felt that he was he was good to apologise, but it was wrong. His whole delivery on everything. He was looking for excuses and the validation for it, and there's no validation for that.
Yeah, and I'm concerned that when we get to the commitment ceremony, that what will be called out will be the event. So the actual punching of the wall. And obviously absolutely unacceptable, but everyone's lying if they said everyone's got a limit that they'll get to, and then you have to know yourself. Just take yourself out of that situation. He obviously hasn't done that, but I've got a feeling the experts will be calling out that, and say as if no one in human history has ever done that. Which really would make it that one a crime to humanity or crime against humanity. I feel like I think I'm on the same page as you though, that if you compare, say, him and how he's reacted versus someone like Adrian, you know, he was clearly distraught and really upset by the whole thing. So I thought, well, it's almost like a positive sign. You've recognized, unlike Adrian, you've recognized this is utterly unacceptable. The thing that made me uncomfortable was the constant justification for it, and that's what I hope he gets called out for, which is, like you say, take the L, just unreserved apology, the end. That is it. It will never happen again. That is the end of it. But he sort of gives the apology, and then he's like, "But I really need to take myself out of that situation, and the problem is, she wants to resolve it there and then." And I can kind of imagine a scenario where one person wants to solve it there and then, the other person just needs space. We all sometimes just need our own space and just get overwhelmed with everything, and take yourself out, and then start thinking linearly again. But the onus is on him. If he knows he's getting to that point, the onus is on him to do that. And I didn't like the way he kept turning it on her and saying, well, he was sort of almost making excuses for it. He was saying, well, because, she wanted to resolve it there, I ended up just getting really frustrated. And, it seemed like a really good idea to punch the wall.
Yeah, there's nothing on that. I'm with you. I'm with you. And it. I think that's what's going to happen. Like we got a little VT, didn't we? Of the commitment ceremony. We're going to see, John, Mel, Alexandra. They all step in. It's violent at the end of the day. Isn't it? It's a violent act, and
Yeah, yeah.
there's a difference between violence and, like, say, what some something that Adrian is doing. But I also think this isn't defending Paul. The stuff that Adrian's doing at this point could potentially be worse, as in psychologically for Athena. So just because it's a physical act and that,
Yeah.
it's a very difficult thing to say. And I'm not judging them as the same. I'm not. But we see on these shows a lot of the times the gaslighting, the psychological profiling. This is something physical. This isn't like two of the guys. This is someone in a
Mm.
controlled environment, in an apartment that he's been trusted with. And I'm also thinking, has he done this before? It's not hurting someone, but is this a normal thing when things get up too much for him? Is he overwhelmed?
Mm.
Does he just lash out? As in, does he throw things? Is he one of them people where he has to pick the nearest object up and lob it or whatever? Not
Mm.
Karina, but like, is that just his MO? Like, because that is like, I've never done that before in my life. And I'm thinking, bullshit. And all I kept ringing up in my head was other people on social media going, I went out with Paul, yeah, and he used to wreck his apartment if he didn't get his own way, or what are they like? It just something didn't ring true that that's the first time in his whole life he's ever done that. I don't believe that for a fucking minute, if I'm being honest. So I don't know what's going to happen, but we'll see.
Yeah, I've not seen anything. I'm desperately trying to stay away from any spoilers. But I don't know. I'm on the fence with that one. It's I wouldn't say it's irrelevant, but at the end of the day, he really fucked up. Unreserved apology is what's required, and that's not what was given. So that's the bit I'll be looking out for the experts, Chris. And
Yeah,
also, I wonder, were the producers, were the camera? I'm assuming the camera crew weren't around at this point, but you know, at what point do they step in? We've seen plenty behind the camera in this season. This is serious stuff. So what did the MAFS production crew actually do about this, apart from rub their hands and go, well, this is a great bit of drama that we can milk
yeah.
the fucking, the pips out of. So I don't know. Or, mixing my metaphors there, squeeze the pips or milk the something. I don't know.
Are you sure, Dave?
One of those
No.
things. Yeah.
Yeah, that one. So, anything else, Dave, before we go?
No, the only thought I had was when we were talking about the agenda, we probably shouldn't have left on such a massive downer to talk about the most sort of serious and downbeat thing in the whole week. I think, like I say, Jackie and Ryan have been more in the background this week. They remain my favorite couple again, just because of Jackie's line about what Ree did being a crime against humanity. I thought, get in, Jackie. You were in the back seat, and then suddenly you've snatched it. You've brought yourself back to the forefront. But yeah, no. So lots of different things going off. Dave and Jamie remain the only couple. Well, in fact, the new couple. Is it Beth
TJ,
and
Beth and T.
TJ?
Yeah,
Yeah, they seem to be going along just fine, don't they? Um, what is the guy's name with Ree?
Jeff.
Jeff. Yeah, they seem to be getting on better, don't they? There didn't seem to be a lot of chemistry there, but seem to be getting on okay now. The trouble is, Chris, I don't care about these couples. They're doing okay.
No.
Good for them. I want to talk about the bell ends, and
Yeah, we
so
need the
that's
balance.
why we love this show.
No, we do. And I'm with you, mate. And honestly, before I get into the email and that, if you are interested in seeing us over on YouTube, please get over there at CD Reality Cast. It's the usual handle, guys. Come and please like and subscribe. Turn the bell on, not the bell end, but the bell on. And then anything that we do upload will go on there. And if you do want to listen to our back catalogue of 600 podcasts, they are actually all available on our YouTube channel now. So,
Blimey.
yeah. Now, so I hope you've enjoyed this second episode of me and Dave on video as well as audio. We do appreciate all your support, guys, and the feedback's been great this week, so thank you so much. If you want to email us, cdrealitycast@gmail.com. If you want to follow us on social media at cdrealitycast, as I said before. If you want to support us, please get over to patreon.com/cdrealitycast. So the roll call of honor and a big thank you to Holly, Darren, Anna, Tilly, Marcy, Stacey, Sinead, Kathleen Sims, Nick, Danielle, Kim, Amanda, Larissa, Nicola, Gillian, Keith, Helen, Chloe, Joanna, Libby, Susan, Lauren, Lucky Lily Green, and Kent Gustafson. So thank you so much, guys. And it's been a great week. you can't beat a bit of maths drama. It's just ridiculous. So we go into episode 21, the commitment ceremony, and them experts better turn up, Dave. That's all I've got to say.
Absolutely. And if all the people left who should leave, we'd be left with no one. So roll it on. I can't wait for next week now. I hope they all stay, they all create drama. And no, absolutely loving it. Love speaking as well. I know we normally do this anyway, but it's a little bit of a different experience, because even when we have recorded the podcast, we don't turn the camera on for each other, so
No.
it's a little bit odd to actually be looking at each other properly. But yeah, it's been absolutely brilliant, mate. I appreciate the chat, and thanks to all our listeners out there. Thanks to all our viewers as well, I guess I should say. Thanks to all our supporters, and we'll speak to you next time.
Bye.